Is the test of the AMS, an instrument to measure antimateria installed on International Space Station. The structural tests were conducted in Germany in the Institute IBG.
Močno smo prisotni tudi v vesoljski tehnologiji. Na posnetku je primer testa naprave AMS, lovilca antimaterije.
Well, this is actually a second version of the unit. They have built the first version, a smaller one, sent it up to space, and they did not catch any of them. So they decided we need to build a bigger one. So €1 billion later, it was the payload on one of the last space shuttle launches.
Ker seveda pri prvem poskusu antimaterije niso našli, so zgradili drugega, večjega in ga poslali na mednarodno vesoljsko postajo z enim od zadnjih poletov Space Shuttle.
AMS is not our only connection to the Space Shuttle. Since the NASA story got so much attention in Slovenia, we decided to tell it once more, this time in details.
AMS še zdaleč ni edina stvar, ki smo naredili za NASA. Ker je zgodba dobila široko medijsko pozornost, smo se odločili, da jo povemo še enkrat, bolj detaljno in bolj obširno kot kdajkoli prej.
Kurt Brim je vodja centra za daljinski zajem podatkov z vseh plovil NASA. Zadnjih 20 let je spremljal vsak polet. Bil je prisoten pri vseh uspehih in tudi neuspehih pri raziskavah vesolja. V največje veselje nam je, da je danes med nami. Kurt Brim is the lead engineer of Telemetry Center at NASA. For the last 20 years, he has been there with all great success, happy and sad stories of space exploration. It is a great privilege that he is here with us today, and I would like to invite him to join us on the stage.
We are really honored that you are with us today. It is actually the first time you traveled out of the United States. So, what are your first impressions?
Well,
Sorry. Hello?
I'm here now. Actually, it's quite good being over here, considering where I left, right in the middle of a hurricane. But actually, Slovenia is very beautiful from what I've seen so far. I kind of like it a lot.
Kot je dejal, da je vse boljše od Amerikana. So, NASA has amazing reputation here in Slovenia. We had projects in major automotive, aerospace, energy, civil engineering applications, but when we did a project with you, we hit all the front pages of the newspapers. So it all started in 2003, when you decided to test several instruments, and we were actually, I think, very lucky that Devatron instrument from Devesoft was a part of that test. How do you see that started period?
Well, we actually tested, I think, about 3 different vendors' boxes, and Dewesoft by far had the best graphics and the best engine, I thought, for processing. And plus, you guys were willing to work with us on some particular So, and the other vendors weren't so much that wanted to do it like you would. So it was a pretty easy choice.
Yeah, there was some nice stories. When we first got there and showed that our recorders were running from left to right, Kurt was used that the string chart recorders were running up and up down. So, he always looked at our charts like that. And then we kind of slowly developed those features to help you.
The vertical chart is something that all the engineers out there were used to looking at because it was always paper, and paper always came out that direction. But a lot of the engineers also, post-test, took the paper and laid it out across the table, which means they were looking at it actually horizontally. So for them, it actually was a good thing that they could see it horizontally. But for others, they had to have the vertical, otherwise they were looking sideways.
Yeah. But now you are running your test online vertical. So whenever we come to the center, we always look at your graph like this.
Mogoče za neangliško govoreče, Kurt je povedal, da so v letu 2003 v nasi vzeli na testiranje inštrumente 3 proizvajalcev. Eden od proizvajalcev je bil tudi avstrijski Devetron, na katerem inštrumentu seveda je tekla programska oprema Devesoft. Po testiranju so glede na to, kateri od proizvajalcev se najhitreje, najboljše odzivu na spremembe, izbrali inštrument podjetja Devetron. Zanimiva zgodba, nas vedno nasmeji, pa je zgodba s temi rekorderji. V nas so namreč navajeni, da je papir vedno iz tiskalnika prišel z vrha navzdol, in ko smo mi pokazali na našem ekranu, da teče graf od leve proti desni, so vsi obrnili glavo, zdaj pa nekako Jure prav, da smo jim pomagali, smo obrnili, da imajo zdaj vertikalne rekorderje. Edino, kar je problem, da zdaj, ko mi pridemo, moramo pa mi tako gledati, ker smo navajeni, da gre horizontalno.
Another good story from the analog recording was the event with the lightning strike. Can you maybe tell us about that?
Yeah, actually, on our earlier versions of DeweySoft, when we were originally getting started with you, we were using it for monitoring power buses on the vehicle during lightning strikes. And we had set it up to trigger if the bus went over a certain voltage, and then it would record, and then we could play back that data for the engineers. And one of the times that struck, it actually did trigger, and we actually saw a voltage spike, but we could look at it close enough to determine that it was not beyond the voltage that they had set as the minimum. So it worked out very well in that case.
Še na enem mestu s pridom uporabljali našo programsko opremo in sicer vedno nadzorujejo konice napetosti, ki se pojavijo naprimer pri udaru strele v lansirno rampo, in zgodil se jim primer, ko se je to zgodilo, in pa takrat je potrebno vse procedure ponoviti in predstaviti lansiranje se, ampak ker so lahko detaljno zoomirali, kaj se je v tistem trenutku v resnici zgodilo, so ugotovili, da je ta povišena napetost še ravno še znotraj dovoljenega in so lahko nadaljevali z izstrelitvijo.
And then the telemetry story started. In 2006, NASA issued a tender to replace the old-fashioned telemetry recorders. How did you record telemetry before that exchange?
All of it was done on paper charts, of course. And we started out with ink charts, and then we went to thermal charts, but either way it was still on paper. And it was, we would burn up many packs of paper during launch countdown, which was very costly. And so we were mandated by the program to find another way to display the data. First, basically they called it a glass strip chart, where it would just show up on a computer screen rather than on paper. And it turned out to be pretty good, pretty nice setup.
In that tender, it kind of, when we read through it, it was kind of like, reading, oh, come on, these are functions of DeweySoft. But we had no experience in telemetry. And did you really believe that by knowing nothing about that you could do it better than the companies doing that for decades?
Sure, I believe so. I've used DuoSoft for two or 3 years prior to this, and I saw a lot of the functions in DuoSoft, and I saw what you guys could do, and I didn't think, with a little bit of showing you how our telemetry works, I didn't think you'd have any problem whatsoever figuring it out.
But you were a little bit wrong. We had issues, right?
We had iterations back and forth, that's for sure, but that's the way you had to develop, I think.
Predtem, ko so uporabili Delitronov inštrument in našo programsko opremo, so kompletno telemetrijo zapisovali na papirni zapisovalniki. In to je bil potem velik prehod naprej, da so dobili sliko zapisovalnikov na ekranu. Kar pa se tiče zaupanja, pa gospod Krk pravi, da je od vsega začetka vedel, da bo naši ekipi to uspelo, in pa zanimivo je, da je tudi že v povpraševanju za takšen merilni sistem uporabil vse, kar je bilo na razpolago, da je že nekako predvidel, kako bi to izgledalo z uporabo DuoSofta.
So this project included 25 Deltron instruments with DuoSoft running on them. And Kurt actually told us everything, more or less everything we know about the telemetry. The way how he tested the software and the way how we worked really closely together was amazing. So Kurt, before I was joking a little bit, but we really had lots of iterations. At the end, when you put things in, you put the software and hardware into the production, did you lose any data actually?
Absolutely not. We could not afford to lose any data, so we had to make sure that we tested this. That's why it took us a while with all the iterations to make sure that it was perfect when we got done, and it was.
Software je bil detaljno, po dobavi softvera je bil softver seveda detaljno testiran in z veseljem lahko pove, da nikoli niso izgubili podatkov, kateri so potrebovali za analizo po upravljanju izstrelitve.
So the last addition to the Space Shuttle program was using DuoSoftNet to transmit the data to the firing room. The firing room is the historical place where all the launch control is done. So what was the reactions of the engineers in the firing room when they got DuoSoft data?
Well, that's a really good story. We had a fuel cell people who had a circuit in their fuel cell that monitored the pump condition for shorts or whatever. The problem is the circuit also picked up anything that was on the power bus. So they could lose that circuit or that parameter, and they would have to call a launch off. With DuoSoft, we were able to recreate a problem that was on the bus. We were able to look at the bus data and find we had an engineer there who looked into the map of DuoSoft, and he found a way that he could look at these buses and look at phase angles on them, and he come up with a tool he called a neutrometer. He used this neutrometer to look at these buses, and he was able to determine, when we finally got all the iterations down, he was able to look at some of the test data or some of the launch data from previous flights when they had this issue. And it came clear to him right there that this tool was working very well, and he saw that this problem was not on his part. And he was, in my opinion, he looked absolutely stunned when he saw the fact that after all these years, they were able to figure out a way to look at this parameter in another light and see if it really was going to work. So it worked out very great. He had to go through a lot of trouble to get it into the firing room. There's a lot of people who look at this data to make sure that it's right, that DuoSoft is doing the calculations correctly, and that he's doing his math correctly. And in the end, it finally did it, and we got live data up to the firing room for the last several launches. It was very good.
Kurt nam je povedal tudi eno zgodbo, kar se tiče njegovih kolegov. Gre za to, da so z DuoSoftom lahko naredili tudi stvari, ki jih prej ni bilo mogoče narediti. En primer je bil s črpalko in kontrolo veze na črpalki. Podatki črpalke pridejo po nekem posebnem basu, in do takrat je, če je šlo kaj narobe, običajno bil kriv za napako tisti inženir, ki je bil odgovoren za to veze. Ko je ugotovil, da v DuoSoftu lahko naredi tudi različne matematične funkcije, vse ostalo, je vzel podatke starih letov, kjer se je tak slučaj tudi naredil, jih predvajal in ugotovili so, da tako zdaj kot tudi v prejšnjih letih, poletih, to ni bila njegova napaka, ampak prej tega sploh niso mogli zmeriti, zdaj visokom pa je to uspelo.
And also the new projects and rockets are monitored with DINOSAR. Can you tell us the RS-1X story?
Yeah, the Ares 1X story is another good story. The purpose of the flight was to get pressure and aerodynamic data from the rocket to be sure it was going to perform good. So the payload on it was called the Development Flight Instrumentation. And that Development Flight Instrumentation had information in it that had all the information in it that it needed for this test. So this was high-speed data, high-rate data. So we're the only ones that actually process that data fast enough to get it to the firemen so that they could see the data up there in real time and be able to make calls, because they were going to make launch calls based on whether that DFI data itself was in good shape. So we sent it up to the firemen live at full speed for them to watch all of these parameters.
No, vsakič, ko smo šli na Florido, je bilo zelo zabavno. Dosti smo to crpali, smo težke odločitve, vzamemo dolgo desko, kratko desko. I will try to translate. So the Ares-1X je bila eksperimentalna raketa. Bila je izstreljena samo enkrat in namen te rakete je bil, da preverijo, kako dobro leti. Za ta namen se je opremili z merilno tehniko in pošiljanje podatkov z te rakete je bil glavni namen. V tistem času niso imeli nobenega drugega sistema, s katerim bi lahko zajeli te podatke. Tako je, da je bil DLSat uporabljen za vso krmiljenje in za vse prikaze podatkov v kontrolni sobi. V takih slučajih si človek prej želi, da bi bil ena majhna muha na steni in da bi videl, kako je zares bil sistem uporabljen. So, just 1 month ago we were together with Dejan and Tomasz and looking at the last space shuttle launch together. And the space shuttle era is finished, but we are working on the new program, on the new way of how to capture and how to transmit telemetry. I wouldn't like to talk too much about that because it's in the startup phase, but one thing is clear. The DLSat software and the Devatron instrument is going to be used also in those new programs, right?
That's correct. The RPS, where I work, record and playback system, was one of the only legacy systems that was moved forward to the new launch control system, and that was solely due to the Devatrons that we have and their processing capability, and also that you guys will be able to come up with a new solution for the new problem we're going to have.
Devatronovi inštrumenti z našo opremo bojo edini kos opreme, ki se bo prenesel naprej na nove projekte, zdaj v času, ko je bil projekt Space Shuttle ukinjen.
Andrej, dvakrat hitreje se ti pleja, tale video. Ga lahko malo počasniš, da ne bo treba to hitro govoriti. So, Kurt, I would really like to thank you for coming here and sharing us these stories. I would like to give you a small gift, and this is the book from Herman Potočnik Nordung. He was our visionary in the area of spaceflight.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Danes je dan, ko se spominjamo izjemno drzne zasnove Space Shuttle. In prav lahko se zgodi, da v našem življenju ne bomo več videli tako naprednega vesoljskega plovila. Tako bi vas povabila na zadnje potovanje Atlantisa, seveda skozi oči Devesov. Today is the day to pay the tribute to the great technology of Space Shuttle. It could happen that we will not see in our lifetime a rocket similar to that. Therefore, I would like to invite everyone to experience again the last journey of Space Shuttle Atlantis, of course also through the eyes of Devesov.
Now on sequencer, we'll hand off to Atlantis' onboard flight computers at T-minus 31 seconds.
Solid rocket booster flight data recorders are activated. T-minus 31 seconds. The handoff has occurred. 11, 10, 9, 8. Go for main engine start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And 0 and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis, reaching the crest of historic achievements in space.
The roll maneuver is complete. Atlantis is in a heads-down position on course for a 51.6 degree, 136 by 36 statute mile orbit. Electricity to all of the systems on board. Atlantis is already 19 miles in altitude, downgrade to the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle in the lower atmosphere.